I don't know if you've heard this expression, but we're all committed to our existing set of habits. So there's sometimes there's good habits and bad habits, right? So for some people, I'll just give an example. At 5 o'clock, they're lined up at the gym, and for others, at 5 o'clock, they're lined up at the liquor store, right? Both habits that take place at 5 o'clock. And when you mentioned that, like, our existing habits at times lead us to live on autopilot. So when we are changing behavior, how much of it is like replacing another habit versus just creating a new one?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it certainly depends a lot on your circumstances and probably your age. And I know we both have kids, and that's a whole other thing that shapes and constrains habits and routines. So that's a big old it depends, but actually the best tools and tactics for building new positive habits are, I think, the same in both cases, whether we're replacing old ones or building new ones. It is key in sort of habit startup mode to try to first, create a plan. When is it that you want to execute the behavior? Not just what is it that you hope to achieve or what's your long run goal, but can you break it down and think about what exactly do you need to do, say, on a daily basis? When will you do it? How will you do it? What will your social supports look like? And then it really is true that the more you practice something, the more it becomes habitual. And we think about practice and deliberate practice as something you do to achieve mastery, which is absolutely true, right? If you want to be a great basketball player, you have to shoot, thousands and thousands of basketballs. And if you want to become a great pianist, you have to practice over and over again and get that feedback. It turns out that building habits, though, is also about repetition. And so if there's something you want to do that's good for you in the long run, trying to think of it as something you want to practice, just like you'd practice the piano, doing it in an ideally a somewhat structured and consistent way, though also building flexibility so that you have sort of a backup plan if you can't do it in exactly the same way at the same time every day. Do you have, what's the second best, and practice that as well, and try to reward yourself for that practice, because rewards are what makes habits sticky. Once you repeat the behavior and you see that reward, you see the good outcome. And maybe, by the way, a lot of the things that have long-term rewards, we need to bring those rewards forward by making it fun or telling other people about our successes so they can celebrate with us, tracking them in some way. Those things are going to help us build lasting positive habits. So repetition, reward, some degree of consistency, but also enough flexibility so that when life throws you a curveball, you will still be able to enact that habit. Not always 7 a.m. or always 5 p.m. is if you get too rigid. Actually, my research has shown you don't build the most lasting habits. So some degree of flexibility is important to build in as you're in startup mode.